What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your brewmaster in chief. And tonight in the BrewLab, I'm coming at you with a quick and aggressive mono white vehicles list that I've been having fun with. And right now, fun is the name of the game for the channel. For those of you who missed my community post on the YouTubes, I will make this announcement here. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, kind of a soft break. I'll only be jumping on camera and recording stuff if I find it to be fun and interesting and new. And you know, if I have a eureka moment and this late in the format come up with something groundbreaking, then of course I'll put it up on the channel. But between now and the 28th, when the new set drops onto Arena, I'm going to be just taking it a little bit more slowly. I'm, to be honest, just a little bit burnt out and running low on ideas, and the format's very toxic. I broke into Mythic yesterday, and just the Mythic ladder is even worse than the Diamond ladder. It's just the same 3 decks over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so I just want to have fun at the moment and preserve my rank in Mythic, so that when the new set drops, we can attack the meta anew with refreshed vigor. So until then, we'll be looking at some more fun and janky stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into tonight's brew. I'm calling it VROOM VROOM VROOM. And it's been doing some stuff for me. And I think this is a deck that also will get some significant upgrades with the new set. There's a couple of really sweet new white vehicles that have arrived in Streets of New Capenna, or that will arrive shortly with Streets of New Capenna. So stay tuned for that. But I'll do the usual, describe the deck from left to right, kind of explain to you why it is that I've picked a card, how it is that they synergize with the other cards in the deck, and you know, what are some of the play lines that we might come across. Then we'll jump into some gameplay footage, hopefully illustrate as many of those play lines and interactions for you, so that you can decide whether this is a deck that's worth your precious wildcards, especially this close to a new set release. And yeah, we'll jump back in at the end with my final thoughts, potential upgrades, and yeah, overall deck review. So we're starting off with a full playset of the Hotshot Mechanic. Cruise vehicles as though it was power 2 greater, and is an artifact creature, which is important, and you'll see why in a second. Of course, it's a Patchwork Automaton deck coming back since our episode of brewing with. Haven't really spent any time with the automaton, but it's just such a sweet little uncommon, and like I said then, I'll say it again, it's just going to keep getting better and better as the year progresses. No, Kamigawa didn't disappoint. Plenty of sweet artifacts and synergies to do with artifacts and equipments and vehicles in Streets of New Capenna. And then the 2 sets after that are both going to be based on Dominaria, from what I can understand, which is traditionally a very artifact heavy plane. So it should be, this card will just, I think, keep getting better as the year progresses. Such an aggressive little 2-drop. And of course, the more artifacts we cast, the bigger it gets. So Hotshot Mechanic is already one such artifact, and of course then it can help us crew things like the Bankbuster, etc., with its additional crew ability. Then we've got a full playset of the Portable Hull. Makes sense. It is an artifact, and it's just a nice little bit of early removal. This is an aggro deck. We're not trying to get too late into the game, so if we can just pick off the opponent's important 2 drops to allow us to continue to attack whilst at the same time growing our automaton, fan-freaking-tastic. And that's, you know, also a reason why I have the Iron Apprentice in here. It's just a cheap artifact that'll help us proc all of our artifact synergies, and added upside, when it dies, you can put the +1/+1 counter it enters the battlefield with on another target creature you control. I usually put it on the mechanic, which will make its power 3 and toughness 2, so nice to have a little bit extra toughness, and then the 3 power will means that it can crew the Bankbuster, which is crucial. But you can also just put those counters willy-nilly, wherever it is that you think they're best employed. We've got some flyers in the form of the Hoverbike and the Cloudsteel Kirin. You know, we can put them on the Ingenious Smith. There's loads of places where those counters will come in handy. Then next card, Ingenious Smith, and we're starting off with this as our first 2-drop. Human Artificer. It's just a way of finding the patchwork. If we don't have one in our opening hand, or 2, ideally, then we'll, mulligan down once. If we still don't have it, then we hope to at least have an Ingenious Smith in hand, because when it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 4 cards of your library and you may reveal an artifact card from them and put it into your hand. So it's a nice way of continuously being able to like find the Patchwork Automaton or other artifacts to play on top of both the Ingenious Smith and the Automaton, which both benefit from, well, one, it's from casting, and this is very important to take note of. The Ingenious Smith only triggers once each turn, first of all, and it only triggers when the artifact enters the battlefield. Whereas the Automaton can trigger as many times as you want in a turn, but it triggers from the artifact spell being cast. So just an important distinction there that needs to be made. Yeah, nice little card. It eventually ends up becoming quite big if it doesn't get removed straight away, and you can use it to crew your vehicles or just attack face with it. Not a bad little uncommon either. Which brings us to Michiko's Reign of Truth. Target creature gets +1/+1 until the end of turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. So we've seen this a lot in the Selesnya/Naya runes decks because of the enchantment side. But it also, works with artifacts. And this is an artifact deck, so, and of course, it being an enchantment itself will add to that, power and toughness boost. And we do have another enchantment here in the form of Touch of the Spirit Realm, which we will get to in a second. So fantastic addition to any artifact deck, as well as an enchantment deck, in my opinion. Such a freaking strong card, man. Like, wow. My favorite playline with this one is to, let's say, you flash in the High-Speed Hoverbike at the beginning of the opponent's end step. You tap down one of his blockers. You trigger all of your artifact synergies. It's got flash, so it'll trigger the Ingenious Smith during the opponent's turn, which is great. And of course your Patchwork Automaton. And you get to tap down one of the opponent's blockers, which might be the only blocker that he has. The following turn, you untap, you play, before you play your Michiko's Reign of Truth, you crew the High-Speed Hoverbike with, let's say, the Ingenious Smith or whatever. Anything will crew this thing. Like, even your Iron Apprentice will crew it. It's got crew 1, okay? Once it's crewed, then you play your Michiko, and you give the flyer the +1/+1, or, the power and toughness boost, however much. And usually at that point, it's like, can be a +5/+5, +6/+6. We'll have plenty of artifacts on the battlefield. And swinging in the air with a flying hoverbike. I think that's a really fun little playline that we'll try to illustrate during tonight's gameplay footage, and can be potentially game-ending, especially later in the game when we have lots of artifacts and enchantments on the battlefield. Which brings us, of course, to the High-Speed Hoverbike. We've already just touched upon it, but just, yeah, bears mentioning that it's, can be used both offensively and defensively. Either, beginning of your attack step, you flash it in, tap down a blocker. That might be the one blocker that's getting in the way from you and winning the game. Or you flash it in, during the opponent's attack step. So you tap down one of his attackers before it can attack. And then that'll open your attack lanes for the following turn. There's just such a nice little versatile uncommon. And by the way, like, borderline free-to-play deck. We've got 1, 2 rares. That's it. Okay, and the Crawling Barrens. Okay, and the Eiganjo. But these are optional. You can definitely cut the lands. It's a very, very easy to craft deck. Going in my probably first time playing any sort of like budget deck on the channel. I usually go quite heavy on the rares and mythics, but this one is very, very cheap. Patchwork Automaton, already touched upon. Don't really need to talk about this guy, which brings us to the Reckoner Bankbuster, which is our card draw engine in this deck. Eventually poops out a treasure and a pilot that it can crew itself with. And that's pretty nice. What else? Nothing really that I need to add about the Bankbuster. It's just a fantastic card. The more I play with it, the more I like it. For those of you who still don't have a full playset at this point in the format, I recommend it. It's just gonna be a thing for a while. It's gonna be in standard for another 2 years or so, almost. And I would highly recommend that you craft 4 of these. It's just phenomenal card. Next up, we've got 3 copies of Cloudsteel Kirin. which is a card that has not been on the channel yet, and I have actually not ever played with. It's one of those cards that says, you know, you can't lose the game and your opponent can't win the game. But this line of text only works if it's a equipment, not a creature. And unfortunately, the reconfigure cost is quite high at 5. So, who knows, we might end up being able to reconfigure it onto an automaton at some point in the game. But it's really just in here to have an additional flying threat. That's also an artifact creature, so it triggers all of our artifact synergies. The line of text that's about not being able to lose the game is just sort of the extra spice that we might get to go off at least once during tonight's gameplay footage. Would make me pretty happy, kind of locking the opponent out from winning the game if they can't get rid of it, if they don't have any artifact removal. You know, you could be playing against mono black or something like that, and you can this will allow your health to go down below 0 and you still won't lose the game, which is quite cool. Which brings us to the final card in the deck. Touch the Spirit Realm. So it's an enchantment. It's going to help with the Michiko. But it's also a little bit of extra removal. You know, something that the Portable Hull won't be able to handle because of its mana value 2 or less threshold. The Touch of the Spirit Realm will be okay with. It unfortunately only exiles artifacts or creatures. So it's not as versatile as, Borrowed Time, which can exile any non-land permanent. But a Touch of the Spirit Realm does have Channel. So you can channel it for 2, 1 colorless and a white, discarded, of course. That's what you do with channel. And you can exile, so essentially flicker an artifact or creature and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So kind of similar to the High-Speed Hoverbike, because channel can be done at instant speed. Can be used both offensively and defensively. You can either, flicker one of your artifacts, like a Portable Hull, for example, and get to exile something like a token, which is quite nice. Or, it's just coming back into the battlefield will trigger the Ingenious Smith. Won't trigger the Patchwork Automaton because it's not being cast. Something to keep in mind. Or, just to exile one of the opponent's creatures that's getting in the way of your attackers at the beginning of their end step. At the end of their end step, at the end of their turn, so that it won't come back to the battlefield until the beginning of your end step. So you can get through for damage, but you can also just not channel it and play it on, play it and exile something until Touch of the Spirit Realm leaves the battlefield, and that'll add to your enchantment and artifact total, which will help make Michiko's Reign of Truth a lot better. That's the deck. Pretty straightforward, very low to the ground, 1.8 average mana value, which means we've dropped the mana down to 22. I do have 2 Mech Hangars in here, which will occasionally allow us to crew something like the Bankbuster without paying its mana, without needing something to crew it. In case we run into a sweeper or whatever, we can just pay 3, tap it, and target vehicles become an artifact creature until end of turn. Quite nice. And of course, you can, it can tap for white mana as long as you're casting pilots or vehicles. So we can cast our Hotshot Mechanic with the mech, we've got plenty of other colorless stuff that we can just tap and cast. Then we've got 2 Crawling Barrens as our creature land of choice, and 2 Eiganjos as a little bit of extra removal if necessary, and 16 basics. Vroom vroom vroom. Let's jump into some unranked fun janky games. Hopefully not run into like top meta decks in unranked where I run to when I just feel like having a bit of fun. Aha! Very nice. Very, very nice. I think we just pass, play land, say go. Unless they play something that we can Portable Hull. And then it's straight Patchwork, and then we can start double dropping. So, fantastic target for the Portable Hull. My red aggro. Ooh. Second automaton. Oh, this is when it's at its most vulnerable. But, you know, it's also why it's got Ward 2. Nice chump blocker. Oh, wait. We can't chump. Well, I mean, we can, but we won't get those counters because of the Apprentice. I mean, because of the Kimono. Such a sweet card, man. Talking about powerful uncommons from Kamigawa. Whew. Here's another one as well. I mean, wow. Lots of really good uncommons in that set. Okay. Now we can chump with the Iron Apprentice without it being exiled. I was gonna maybe draw some cards here, but I think it's better to just restock the hand a little bit, like with the Ingenious Smith, because then it's another for sure artifact that we can just keep growing these guys with. The opponent seems to be bricking a little bit on lands. Okay. Maybe channel one of these guys. I would have just channeled it, dude. Straight up. Caramel peanut clusters. Off you go. Sometimes it's close against mono red. It's getting better and better. I think beware of mono red guys coming up in the next set, and I think it's poised to displace mono white aggro as the de facto best single color aggro deck in the format. So just that's my prediction. Hold me to my word. We'll look back in a few months and see whether I was right or wrong, but Urabrask, the new 5-drop guy, especially post-rotation, once Mono White loses Luminarch Aspirant and Elite Spellbinder and Red Dane, and there's lots of cards that the Mono White aggro deck is going to lose after rotation. And I just get this feeling that it's going to be, you know, mono red again at the top of the pile. Oh no! It's almost certainly going to be some... Okay, no counter magic. Should have known. Okay. Bant shenanigans. Storm the festival. Skadoosh. Ramp, and more ramp. I get worried about Doomscar now, like, major worried, but hey. Can't stop to think about that right now. We just gotta keep on slamming. Skadoosh, skadoosh. You either have a Doomscar or it's GG. That's like maybe too much ramp. I'm just throwing it out there. Lol. I wonder what he was trying to do there. I mean, Bant mill? Sure. Whatever you say, bro. Definitely going to make these, you know, janky vids over the next couple days a little shorter than usual as well. But I do want to get off like a really tasty Michiko's Reign of Truth. That playline that I mentioned, you know, where you crew the VROOM first and then play the Michiko and get in through the air. And I also really want to play one of those Kirin cards and try and reconfigure it at least once. But the games have been going pretty quickly so far, so I'm hoping we get to try it out. There's the Kirin. Should we hold this hand? No automaton though. It's a bit slow. I think we need to mulligan. Nice to be on the draw when that happens as well. Okay. Yeah. Lame. Let's see if he attacks. It'd be so funny if he attacks. Okay. He's not totally stupid. Looking like Selesnya. Hopefully it's not Naya runes, but just Selesnya enchantments. It's a little easier to deal with, in my opinion. That Naya deck is retarded. Ridiculous. Beg your pardon. Should not have said that. That is not politically correct these days. Yeah, I'll take that action. Of course he had a Boseiju. Of course! That's nice. He's used his artifact removal. That means he might not have a way of dealing with my Kirin here right away. That's nice. So we'll let him take, you know, hit us with the Kami. Blue Jay. Another companion. Okay, he's dying for a white source. I bet you he's got like 2 hallowed hauntings in hand and he's just like itching to cast it. A shrine? Okay, this is not your typical Selesnya enchantment deck. But it's nice, you can add counters to things. A1, put a counter on it. Also comes with trample. Hey, that's not a terrible shrine. Alright, so I think I'm just gonna do it, right? Like, why not? I want to test this. Just let him hit us. He's got another Boseiju. I'll be so bummed. Of course he does. No? Maybe? Another green source. The poor guy. I've never played with this card, guys. I'm interested to see what happens here. Opponent. Okay. That's cool. Not about to block with that guy anyway. He's our, you know, ticket out of here. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Show me what you got. Sure. Interesting target. Can't attack with it. Oh, baby. Urgh. Okay, let's just wait one more turn before we do the Michiko. It's just getting better and better. Right now it's gonna give a creature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh no, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus 8, plus 8. Not bad. He's a legendary, no? Another legendary. Ah, that's terrible. We don't like to see that. Do not like me. Another ridiculous uncommon from the set. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put it on the already flyer. Oh, come on! Oh, I did not think we would get out of that one. How much was I gonna get there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 additional power. 10, 11. Would have swung for 11 that turn. not bad. And we got to crew the Kirin, you know. We got to crew the Cloudsteel Kirin. That's epic. How are we doing for time here? Okay. I think that'll do it for tonight's gameplay footage, guys. We got to illustrate all of the playlines that I was interested in illustrating. So we've arrived at the half-an-hour mark. Gonna go a little shorter, as I said. So we'll just leave it at that. But fun little janky brew. Definitely worth looking into. There's an argument that can be made for some of these, what are they called? Vaults? You know, instead of maybe the Mech Hangar. Or, you know, maybe just cut another couple planes. Doesn't really matter. We've got enough white sources, I think. There's not really much white going on here. There's no double pips of white. So, that, you know, maybe a couple volts, because then that'll add to the artifact count of Michiko. But, yeah, I'll leave that up to you guys, whether you think it's a good idea or not. So that's going to be it for tonight's gameplay footage. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all either tomorrow or the next day, depending on if I find something fun and janky to show you. And until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab, signing out. Peace, y'all.